One of the most proverbial lessons that I learned from my mentor was when I was hitting some sort of adversity in my life. And nonchalantly, he explained to me the 3 Gs. Some of you out there may be like, what the hell is the 3 Gs? These 3 Gs are things that you would always seem to understand, but most often overlook. When I started to apply the 3 Gs in my life, I started to see that it not only applied to my personal life, it applied to my financial life, it applied to my spiritual life, and it applied to every single area that I had a challenge or an obstacle. So it wasn't only for the parts of my life that were working, but the 3 Gs allowed me to have it be applied to the parts of my life that are not working. Those are the areas of your life that are the most challenging, because it's hard to understand when you're applying the 3 Gs what it does to you. So the first G stands for gratitude. How can you have gratitude in this particular situation, whatever that situation you're in? And if it's a positive situation, how can you be grateful that it is positive? Sometimes we only tend to focus in on the negative. If it's a negative situation where, let's say, you're trying to make more money, and how can you have gratitude for the point where you're at right now, that you were able to get to from wherever you started to this point right now, and be able to say, okay, I'm accepting to where I'm at right now. It doesn't mean that I am satisfied. It doesn't mean that I have to stop there, but I can still launch into the stratosphere, but I'm celebrating my little win. So your gratitude allows you to celebrate not only the big wins in your life, but also the little wins. The second G is generosity. How can you be more generous in that particular situation? A lot of times we equate generosity to financial wealth, but where we all most often overlook is when we're talking about generosity, where can we be generous within our community? Where can we be generous with our partner? Where can we be generous with our spirituality? Where can we be generous when we try to achieve something, hit a pothole, and fall on our face and not beat ourselves up? Where can we be generous in those moments where it is harder to be able to say, okay, I tried my best, I'm acknowledging that I did my best, and I'm still okay with where I'm at right now. And I'm gonna give myself and be generous without being so hypercritical of myself or others. The third G is grace. When you recognize that you're being generous, and when you recognize that you're being grateful, inadvertently you may come across certain things that are obstacles in your life, and maybe you have caused them or other people may have caused them to you. Where can you give yourself grace that you did the best that you could in the time that you knew how to do it? Because sometimes if you look back on your life, just because you have today's knowledge, there was a point that today's knowledge, you were just learning that a few years ago. So a lot of times what you may consider as, oh, I know this inside and out, if you think about like riding a bike, for example, some of you out there may still have never learned how to ride a bike, but some of you out there not only ride a bike, but you can do mountain trails and do all these other things, right? But there's a certain point where you got to give yourself the acknowledgement that you didn't know how to do something. And you got to give yourself that grace that you did the best that you knew how to do in that moment. Some of these biggest obstacles, when we're talking about the 3 Gs, sometimes it's easier to reflect that on others and give them the gratitude, give them the generosity, and give them the grace. But in reality, what we need to look at is that sometimes we are the ones that need to give that to ourselves. We need to be able to humble ourselves down, but also understand that this life has a roadmap. And just because it has a roadmap doesn't necessarily mean that we always stay on the road. And we got to be okay with that. Whatever obstacle you're trying to achieve in your life to overcome, whether it be in love, whether it be in relationships, whether it be in the community, whether it be around money, whether it be around your spirituality, whether it be around your health, your education, or even just be able to spend your time efficiently. You got to be able to give yourself as your very core foundation the gratitude, the generosity, and the grace that you so deserve. Let me know your thoughts on the 3 G's and how you're going to implement it in your life. Comment below, and don't forget to subscribe.